All right, well, welcome everyone to the Ann Arbor Resident Race to Zero Home Energy Challenge. This session is specifically a session for residents of Ann Arbor, Michigan, for a very specific program we're doing there. However, if you're joining us as a resident or contractor anywhere else in the country, hopefully you can take away some good lessons learned on how to improve your home or help your clients improve their project. If you're a government official joining us and you're looking to run your own Race to Zero program, hopefully you can learn something here too and know that we can help you do that. So what we're going over today is how to win the Race to Zero program, just to give people some ideas on what to be looking for, what questions to ask, and what to do. As we're going through this session, again, make sure to, we want to hear from you as we're going. We're going to have questions, Q&A set up. We're going to be stopping for questions to hear your thoughts and your ideas. Try to put your direct questions into the Q&A box, and then the comment box is a great place to have dialogue, conversation, add your ideas, what you're thinking as well. And yes, as always, like all of our courses, this course will be listed on our YouTube channel. Make sure to go there and hit subscribe. And then once the recording is ready, you'll get an update on that. For those of you in Ann Arbor looking for ways to improve your home, we have all sorts of great training and resources on our YouTube channel to give you better ideas on how to win this challenge and make improvements, very specific things across all different ways. And if you don't know who we are, we're the GreeHome Institute. We're a nonprofit with a mission to empower people to make healthier and more sustainable choices in the renovation and construction of the places we live. My name is Brett Little, and I'm the program manager here, helping oversee the Ann Arbor Resident Race to Zero program and our educational webinar series. And before we start, we hope you'll consider joining us to become a member to support us to do programs like this. And we've only got a couple of these USA grown corn-based mugs left that we'll send you for becoming a member. We're running out, thanks to one of our board members, Bill Spone, True Tech Tools, for donating those mugs so we can do that. And you get all sorts of other benefits as well as education and training on how to make healthier home improvements. So again, welcome to the Ann Arbor Resident Race to Zero Home Energy Challenge. As I mentioned, if you're here and you're not in Ann Arbor, I think you can still learn something, but this challenge is specific just to those in the city of Ann Arbor, and we hope to replicate challenges like this in other parts of the country so we can work with you. Let's take a step back here. So, how do you, what are the benefits of winning this challenge? And ultimately, everybody who takes place in this challenge, who participates, is going to be a winner no matter what. And I say that because what's going to happen is you're going to reduce your utility usage and cost, right? That's a win for everybody. You're going to hopefully have a healthier, more comfortable home with better indoor air quality, which again is a win. Everybody will win that if you make improvements. And home energy efficiency and health improvements can actually improve home resale value. So if you're ever looking to build equity or resell your home, it could potentially have some value there. So there's a lot of benefits. Everyone's going to be a winner by participating in this. But the big winner is going to be getting a $500 check. And so the way you're going to get that check, it's pretty simple. Starting on July 1st. So what day is that? That is Friday, this Friday. Starting on Friday, we're going to look at your energy use from July 1st to December 31st, 2022, and we're going to compare it, gas and electric usage, all DTE for you all, to your same time period in 2021. And so the person who can cut their energy use the most compared to that last time period is going to win $500. And if you haven't been in your house that long, or you're a renter, there's some other ways that you can get involved too. That's fine. You can still be a winner, but that's the big prize. And then there's going to be all sorts of other prizes: second place, third place for energy, second place, third place, first place for electricity consumption reduction, gas reduction consumption, as well as a water consumption reduction and indoor air quality improvement, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. So I want to thank some of our two biggest sponsors, Urban Rider and Common Cycle. Common Cycle is actually giving away a bike to one of the winners for $250. So those are local bike companies. You got to go check them out now after this session Go check them out. Very cool. There's over $1,500 in prizes being given away, both in cash and other fun prizes. And we're adding more and more from new sponsors that are coming on, every single day. And we have one of them here today, Amanda with Eco Intelligent Homes. Amanda, maybe you want to tell everybody a little bit about what you got going.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amanda. I'm the owner of Eco Intelligent Homes. We are a home performance company that is happy to be part of the Biggest Loser Challenge here in Ann Arbor. We are offering a 5% off your insulation improvements to the first 5 participants. We actually already have our first, so there's 4 left. All you need to do is call our office. The number is right there, 248-291-7815. Mention the Biggest Loser competition when you schedule your energy audit, and our consultants would be happy to include that discount in the packages that they present to you. Happy to be a part of it today, and please include any comments or questions down in the chat, and we'll be happy to reach out.
Thank you so much, Amanda, and thanks again for sponsoring us and helping. Even if you don't win that, you're going to need to make improvements to your home to win. And Amanda's the person to give a call that come out and help do that, right? You're going to be able to give ideas and assessments and actually do the improvements, right?
Yep, absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, great. Thanks. So we'll go over what those will look like as we're moving forward. And one other thing everybody should know real quick is that you can also win $50 right out of the gate just by being the most referred person who refers more people into this program. And so if you can help spread the word across Ann Arbor, here's the way I kind of look at it. Each of you have you have a neighbor on your left and your right, and then you have 3 across from you, 1, 2, 3, right? Talk to all 5 of those. Now, I know you got a weird neighbor. We all have the weird neighbor we don't want to talk to. So, okay, 4 of them. Talk to 4 people around you in your community who you're working with. Send them this link. I'm dropping it in the chat. I think all of you have access to that link too, but there it is. I'll send it a couple more times. It's down in the comments for those of you watching the recording. That's where you can sign up as well into the challenge. Share it with your neighbors. Go bring it to them, and you can win $50 just by spreading the word. The other thing too is that for the first 25 homes, and now we're down to 24, I think, who sign up for this, you will get access to a free Department of Energy home energy score assessment, which number 1 is a way that's going to help you win because you're going to have more information about your home. Number 2, there's actually a category for having the most improved home energy score and potentially highest home energy score, 1 out of 10. As well. So it puts you into another category. There will also be paid audits. You can pay for those assessments if you like. And so we'll have more information on that. And what it is too, I'll get into that in a second. So what we like to look at the GreeHome Institute is what we call the 5 pillars of green building. All of our homes have these: energies, materials, place, health, and water. And all of our homes do better in these areas and need to, can be evaluated in all 5 of these areas and then be improved. For the focuses of this competition, our main focus is on the energy pillar with 2 side focuses on the health and water pillar for the competition as well, and ways to win within those. So as you'll get a theme, as you're looking through this, as you're going through our program, you'll see kind of these themes emerge. So let's talk about the big one, energy. That's where you're going to win the $500, right? If you, again, a reminder, reduce your energy starting July 1 to December 31 compared to the same period in 2021. If you reduce it the most, you're going to be taking home $500 check to do that. So one thing we like to think about for energy is what we call the home energy efficiency pyramid. At the bottom of the pyramid are cheaper, more do-it-yourself friendly, but they're also less energy savings, less comfort. At the top of the pyramid, there are more energy savings. However, they're more expensive, more costly, take more effort, probably less do-it-yourself friendly. So I want to propose a exercise here for you all, and I thought I had something I could post into the chat, but I guess it's gone. Well, so anyway, take each item of these items here: water heater, solar, low-hanging fruit, awareness, understanding, insulate, HVAC, windows, appliances, air seal, and think about on your own, get just 1 minute and write it into the comment box listed from top to bottom. At the top, you'll list the bottom of the pyramid: cheaper, less energy efficient, more do-it-yourself friendly, all the way to the bottom, more expensive, but more energy savings. I just want you all to kind of take a guess what you think the order of these are. And then we're going to go through and see how right you were. Each one of these items, which are going to help you win. Now, as you're listing these out in the comment section, from the top, again, being cheaper, more do-it-yourself, to the bottom, more expensive, all of these I want you to list out here. As you're doing that, you can think about it in the context of your own home, because it can be very highly subjective. Your own house might have a different list, but this is just the average list that I'd like you to think about too, that we're going to go through, that we tend to find in the average home when we're looking at them. So again, right now I'm going to pause it for about a minute, and I want you to do this exercise in the comment section. Post what you believe at the top is the easiest, cheapest, most do-it-friendly item that we have listed here, and then list them all the way down. I think there's like maybe 8 or 9 of them, and then go to the bottom, most expensive. So it's a little opposite of what the pyramid is and how I want you to post it in the comments. For those of you following along on the recording, post your answers onto our comment section in YouTube and see if you got it right as we're going. So we're going to give everybody a second to think about that, to do that, and then we're going to keep moving forward. All right, so a lot of you got that posted in there. Thanks for doing that. So here we go. We've got the first one. It's really about the awareness. It's about the understanding. We really need to know what we're working with in our own homes to be able to, to do this. So lost some of my notes. Well, all right, going on without them. So anyway, really what we need to look at is our utility bills and the features of our home, how old it is, what the age of it is, what its orientation is, what the window to wall ratio is, when we, not just how much energy we use, but when we use it, and what special programs might exist to help you do that. So again, the first thing is we need to take a look at our energy bills. And that's a requirement for this program. You submit your energy bills. So hopefully when you're submitting them to us, you're actually looking at them, getting a good sense of your electric and gas usage, how much you're using. One cool thing you can do is you can create an EUI. You can take your electric use, your gas use, you can convert it over to a certain energy factor, and then you can do a math formula with your square footage of your home, and you can get an energy use intensity. And then you'll know for how much energy your home is using per square foot and how efficient it is. So we can give you some more information about that. The other thing, like I mentioned, is not just how much energy you're using, but when you're using energy. Very important. And we're going to have another side kind of competition to if you can shift your energy off of the peak, especially during the summer. If you know right now, if you've heard the news, there is a risk that as these heat waves come, we could all be facing brownouts and blackouts. And so the more all of you can shift your energy away from that peak time, which we're going to talk a little bit about where DTE's peak time is, different than mine over here, you can actually win some prizes by being mostly off peak, which is very important. There's less carbon when you're off peak, and it's actually an environmental justice issue because a lot of the peak plants are very pollution, and they're heavily stacked in low income and communities of color. So the more you're using energy during peak, the more you might be adversely affecting areas that you didn't even think about. So it's just beyond energy, and it kind of gets into that place pillar I talked about a little bit there. And so getting a sense of where your energy is being used in your house, there are devices out there you can plug into your electric meter, and you can plug them in. I highly encourage you all to go out and get these right now to help you win the challenge. It'll tell you where and when energy is being used right in real time, so you can make more informed decisions on how to change it. Then you want to get an energy audit, right? Some of you are going to win the audit, some of you are going to pay for it, but let's get an energy audit done. If you're having income challenges, there are potentially free audits from the county, so we'll help you out with that too. Not here to judge or anything like that. So during the audit, someone's coming in and they're doing what they call a blower door test. And that's a key number because that blower door test is going to tell you how leaky your home is, which is where a lot of energy is being lost. Plus it ties into rebates and other programs. So that's a big component of the blower door test. Also during the energy audit, the auditor is going to be taking a look at all of these items here, and they're going to be throwing it into a home energy score application. And it's going to spit out a score from there. And it's going to tell you your score being from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst performing home, 10 being the best performing home in Ann Arbor. And then it's going to say, look, if you make these improvements, there'll be a 10-year return on investment, potentially, for making these improvements. And, then you can also use this score to help, make a reduction and win the competition and get a better improved score, which can also have other benefits, like home resale value and another way to win the competition. So again, you'll take a look at some of these items that the Department of Energy's home energy score label will recommend. It'll tell you when to replace it now, immediately, replace it later when it breaks, and that won't help you win the competition, but maybe you don't want to spend money on something that still works. And then your auditor will work with you with a full list of set of recommendations on what those improvements are. Now, you can also do the assessment yourself. It won't be certified, that's for sure. But if you want, the Department of Energy has opened up just recently a do-it-yourself tool, and I'm posting a link. And we're going to be doing a webinar on how to use that tool and do your own home self-assessment here later on in the year as part of our series, our Race to Zero series. So I posted a link into that, and you can go through and use that now to do your own home evaluation. Also, when you hire a heating and cooling contractor to improve your HVAC, be sure that you tell them that they need to use a certified Manual J version 8 heat load calculation, and they need to use that calculation based on the blower door test you received from your home energy auditor. Because otherwise, what happens is these heating and cooling contractors tend to oversize the heating system. It can be very expensive when you get a bigger system, and it doesn't work as efficiently. So that's a part of the awareness section. So what did I miss? What are some other ways people can make themselves aware that you use that you can share with your fellow Ann Arbor residents? Or what questions do you have for me on the awareness section before we move up further on the pyramid? Recording. So there was one guest who shared that your library, I believe that's your library there, has cameras and sensors, and we're looking at potential indoor air quality sensors to get into the library that you can all check out. There are some libraries, like in California, where you can rent cooking equipment, and who knows if we'll get to that point, but we'll see other ways you can make your home more energy efficient. Okay, so we're moving up the pyramid here. Here again are all the different items on it. What do you all think is the next one on our list? Yes, low-hanging fruit. It's right there, right? So easy stuff. Go and change your light bulbs. If you don't have all LEDs right now, you're wasting a lot of money. This is super do-it-yourself friendly, depending on sometimes if you're where your lights are, there might be some tall ladders you got to get to, and I can understand the concern there, but get switched over to LEDs right now. Like, just leave this. If you don't have all LEDs, then just leave this presentation now and go get them switched. You'll make a huge reduction. They even make LEDs now that are motion censored. I have a bunch of these installed, or the switches themselves are motion censored. So when you leave the room, you forget to turn the light off. I know I do. It turns it off for you. More energy saved. I have these things placed around my house. I don't know about you, but it's not just for efficiency. I hate getting up at night and being blinded by light. Then I can't get back to sleep. So I've got these little really low, super hyper LED. They barely use any energy. They don't even register on our meters. And they just give this nice warm light. They don't blind you, and they use a lot less energy. And you can just be more efficient if you're someone who gets up at night or moves around at night quite a bit. And you're not, quite honestly, the efficiency is great, but I just don't like being blinded by that, by turning the light on at 2 o'clock in the morning. Get downstairs, go take a look at your ducts up there. Do they look like this duct? Are they sealed? Do they have tape around them? If they don't, go get some duct tape, metal sheet tape, which is for, not duct tape. You don't want to use duct tape, but it's for ducts, DUCTS, and wrap everything that you can see all the way across the top. Sure, you can hire someone to do it, but if you feel comfortable, you can just wrap all the edges, or you can use mastic if you want. It will have a little off-gassing, maybe make you a little nauseous, not the healthiest to breathe, but it does seal a lot better than the ducts as well. Now get downstairs and make sure you have R4 pipe wrap around all your hot water pipes. wrap it and seal it as much as you can. And I would put it around your cold water pipes too, if your basement's not conditioned. And that's actually more for health reasons and durability reasons, not for energy efficiency per se. Make sure you go in and weather strip all your doors and your windows. You go pick up some weather stripping and check that, make sure it's still working and get those repaired if you don't. Grab a caulk gun and just start caulking all your baseboards. It's easier if you can pop the baseboard off and then actually caulk at the bottom of the floor, but I understand that can be a pain, so you may not want to do that. So you can just caulk on the top and the bottom. Same goes for all your windows. Just caulk all the way around your windows while you're at it. Get that in there. Light switches are notorious for leaking air, and they're a safety issue, of course, for kids. So there are these cool light switches now where you can get them pre-sealed on the inside and then have them, you know, if you've ever felt in older homes in the middle of the winter, you put your hand up to the, don't put your hand in it, but put your hand up to the power plug outlet, that is. You'll feel cold air just blowing in like crazy. So make sure that's all sealed. They sell those, and make sure that you can't just seal that part because it's actually blowing around the edges too. You got to seal it all. Power strips, put everything on power strips. Shut them off when you're not using them. I've had someone tell me that they saved $70 a month by doing that. I assume they had a very high bill to start at 70. They must have been having a million things plugged in. But also, you know, one way to both reduce your exposure to electromagnetic frequencies as well as save energy is to have a kill switch. And the kill switch, you shut it off and it knocks the power out in the entire room. And so you go to bed and you just knock your entire entertainment center power off. You shut the power off in your room if you don't use any power in there at night. And it's just another way to cut some of that vampire power that's being used. And then also try to keep the sun out from overheating your house as much as you can. So obviously you want to use blinds that are reflective. And this is a little bit of a higher level, but you can get a white roof, a metal white roof, or you can, if you're rebuilding your house, build it out so that it's keeping the sun from coming in the window and overheating the house. Lastly, there's actually, I think, funding from DTE to do a test and tune-up of your furnace. It could include a filter change, make sure it's running properly. So if you're not getting a new one, have your HVAC contractor come in and they may pay for some of that to be done. And it can just make sure your system is running more efficiently. And that also can improve the health and comfort in your house as well. So before we move on to the next section, there's many other items for low-hanging fruit. I didn't cover them all here today. What are some things that you do or are planning to do in your house to save energy and win the competition? Or what questions do you have for me on some of the things we discussed for low-hanging fruit? All right, so coming up next on our list, again, we've got at the bottom, awareness, education. Next up, low-hanging fruit. What's the third item we're going to be looking at that you had written down? Anyway, what we have up next is appliances. And, you know, quite frankly, appliances, if you're not planning to replace the appliances and you have ones you like, then, you know, this may not be high up on your list. But just from a pecking order, you know, pretty easy to swap out. And, you know, a lot of the places will deliver those and install them. So obviously you want to go after Energy Star certified. And if you go to the Energy Star website and you're a nerd like me, you can even dig through it deeper and even find ones that are even more energy efficient than the standard Energy Star label, just based on the efficiency of the appliance. So just make sure all of your appliances are certified Energy Star. And if you want to be really aggressive when you're buying a new one, make sure they're at the tier 2 or tier 3 levels, and those save even more energy. But setting aside energy, just looking at this photo here, the left refrigerator or the right one, setting aside an Energy Star label or how new it is. Let's say all things being equal, they're Energy Star certified, they're brand new. Which one of these refrigerators are going to save more energy, and why do you think that is? Right, yeah, so anytime you can get a new fridge, make sure two things: have the freezer either on the top or the bottom, and get rid of the ice maker. Both of those things are just, when you have side-by-side fridges, they use more energy, and when you have ice makers, they tend to freeze up and leak anyway, and they just use more energy doing all that. So if you're trying to be efficient, get the top to bottom. And I think they just look nicer too. And the ice makers, they're just a pain. They're just annoying. So, so yeah, get the top to bottom ones. Okay, now looking at this list, left or right, when you're considering efficiency of your clothes washer, which one of these here is going to be both more energy and definitely mostly more water efficient, the left side or the right side, and why? Yep, I think a lot of you know it. It's the front loaders. They especially use a lot less water, which is again another way to win the competition. Not the $500, but it's another category to win. First, second, third place in water savings. We need to cut our water usage. But yeah, definitely make sure you got the left-hand side. Again, for health purposes, and we're going to talk a little bit about this, but for health purposes, not just energy efficiency purposes, consider switching to induction or electric cooking over gas. From an energy by energy basis, electric stoves are more energy efficient than gas, and induction stoves are more energy efficient than electric stoves as well. And if you're kind of like, I love cooking, Brett, and I need my gas, I don't have empathy with you, but I do want to hear what you're saying. I don't care about, I can cook just fine on electric and I'm not that picky, but I understand there are cultural things around the gas stove and all sorts of things that it cooks better. But, famous chefs are all switching over to induction now, and they swear it can cook even better. So if you are concerned, you can go out and buy yourself a $70 online, and then they're probably with inflation, $100 now, single plate induction cooktop. Buy it, and you tell me that it's not cooking better for you than gas, and then plan on making the switch from there. Now, besides energy efficiency, there is also with our appliances when we use energy, and these are two different programs you can sign up for as a DTE consumer, or a DTE. I'm consumers. A DTE, if you're in the DTE area, which you are in Ann Arbor. There's the time of day program and the dynamic peak pricing. And this is basically where they charge you a lot less energy if you can use energy that's not happening when everyone else is. And they charge you a lot more if you're using energy when everybody else is. And so you can go and sign up for that program. I'll tell you, here in consumers energy territory on the other side of the state, we've all been forced into the top one. We're all there. And you all sooner or later will be forced into this one, and eventually we'll be forced into the bigger one. It's just a matter of time. So let's get used to it now. And it's really, in some regards, we can use technology to solve this, and I'll talk about that later. But it's really about thinking about habits. So right now in our minds, we're like, let's use less energy. But now we also have to think about not just using less energy, but when we're using energy. And there's some strategies you can use for appliances and for convenience. Think about using your crock pot or your pressure cooker, maybe. Now, the crock pot's going to be a steady drip of low amount of energy all day long versus a firing up peak energy, high amounts, especially if you have electric stoves. If you have gas, I guess it's not a big issue. But again, we don't recommend using gas stoves. But it's going to slow dribble out energy rather than firing it all up around the time you're cooking at 5 o'clock. So this is one strategy I use to shift my energy. And honestly, it's just, it works a lot better. Get appliances that are not only Energy Star certified, but have the ability to set them to run later. So what I do is I tell my dishwasher and my clothes washer, I set it when it's convenient for me to load it, but then I say, don't run until 11 o'clock at night when my energy costs are lower and there's more wind on the MISO grid. We're all on the MISO grid, and wind blows a lot more at night. Now, if you have solar, you may want to run it during the day. You also want to set your thermostats so that your air conditioning and your heating, if your heating's all electric, doesn't run from your peak time that I showed you, or runs less, and then, fires back up once that peak time is gone. So in the past, we used these to turn our heating down when we aren't home. But now the future of our thermostats is actually to turn our heating and cooling down or up when the carbon is higher on the grid and it costs more. So that's another way to look at appliances. And another way, we're going to be doing another prize if you can keep your energy off of the peak times aligned up with DTE. You can check that out on their website. under the rate utility structures and learn more. And we'll send some more information out about that. So before we move on to the next one, do you have any other thoughts or suggestions you use to make appliances more energy efficient, or any questions specifically for me? All right, so going up that pyramid, we've got awareness at the bottom, low-hanging fruit, appliances. What comes next? What did either you put, or what do you think we have coming up next as far as the pecking order of easiest, most do-it-yourself friendly, cheaper, all the way up to the top, more expensive, more labor intensive? Got a guess for attic insulation? Turning off blinking clocks, that's always a great idea. Back to the sort of low-hanging fruit one. Yep. Water faucet consumption. And yeah, a clue, water heaters. So you're right. Next up on our list is going after that water heater, which is kind of an appliance, but it's a bigger one. Okay, so here's the challenge for you all. On the left side or right side, which is the most energy efficient water heater, and why? And bonus question, which one of these is going to be healthier? And then also a second bonus question, increase durability or materials, which we call the material section, the durability of your house. What do you all see there? And what are your thoughts? Left side better or right side better, and why? Yeah, so on the left side, what you have is a naturally drafting gas water heater. And you can see that a little bit because you can see the gap there, which is that's a health issue, right? That could be pulling carbon monoxide and humidity up into your house. That's a health problem. But it's also showing that the unit itself is more energy efficient. So go down and look at your water heater after this webinar. And if you see that gap, you know it's time to update. So what are the choices? Here on the right, you've got a sealed combustion water heater, probably Energy Star certified. It's just drafting that right out the window. And also this one's most likely going up a chimney, which is also inefficient. And those chimneys end up leaking when you've got a high snow load. It damages the chimney and causes leak repairs and mold issues. So there's a lot of wins by getting rid of the chimney and using sealed combustion water heater that are Energy Star certified. You could also consider switching to a tankless water heater, but let me tell you a couple things about tankless. They're very expensive, hard to retrofit, can be very expensive. And water heating just in general saves minimal energy to begin with. And so it's a very big expense. And plus they have maintenance and upkeep, but you know, it will be more energy efficient. And I think 10 years ago, tankless water heaters were the green dream, but I think they're definitely on their way out. So what is the future? Well, the future of water heating to be the most efficient is to go all electric. And going all electric does come with health benefits. Again, you don't have those emissions coming straight out of the water heater. But electricity is very expensive right now, even with prices going up and inflation of gas, which has went up, I think, 300%. Electricity is still pretty expensive. And so just going straight to an electric water heater could be costly. And that's why they've make things like heat pump water heaters. And I have one of these. And what these do is they pull heat out of the air. And I can tell you there's even heat. Well, there's heat in your house in the middle of winter when it is. And it uses a refrigerant, kind of like an air conditioner or your refrigerator, to heat that water up to roughly even 400% energy efficiency. And it just makes for a much more energy efficient situation. And so there's a quick video here about a really cool brand that we like. Let me know if you all can't hear that.
Introducing the new Rheem hybrid electric water heater.
Can you guys hear that?
Factor of 3.5. This is the smartest and most efficient water heater on the market today. It's the quietest hybrid on the market at 49 decibels. Plus, our newest hybrid design is Ethernet enabled, providing Wi-Fi connected control both at home and away. Here's how it works. A fan pulls.
Yeah, and I can just tell you, it's just giving you examples. Again, it's pulling that heat in from outside the air, and it's using it to heat the water at super high energy efficiency. And then, from there, it's putting it through a refrigerant cycle to heat the water. And so that's heating the tank. It's wrapped around the tank there. And then there is a condensation line just to make sure that when it's pulling that heat out of the air, water comes with it. And so you've got to make sure to drain that out. It's a little bit different than other water heaters like that. So it's a pretty cool product. And there's a lot of different brands. There's even one made right here in Michigan that can do that. And another thing too about these devices is that some of these come with time of use settings right away. And so you can actually set your water heater to not heat, again, if you're on that peak load usage time, to not set when electricity rates are higher, and only to heat when electricity rates are lower. And in that way, it actually makes your water heater kind of act like a battery, if you think about it. And so there's utility programs around the country that are using water heaters like batteries to help reduce the load on the grid. And if you want to learn more about it, on our YouTube channel, we have a whole session called Can We Heat Our Water Better Using the Air? And so you can check that out if you go to our YouTube channel and learn more. Some people ask about solar hot water, and it's really something that's on its way. It's pretty much a way of heating water that's kind of gone. Part of the reason for it is because, you know, if you use regular solar, you get paid for it. If you overuse too much, if you overgenerate solar hot water, you have a problem on your hands of all this extra hot water that you need to do something. Plus, there's all the plumbing and all the other mess with that. So we just don't even see anyone doing that anymore, but wanted to give you a heads up. So like I said, another way to win this competition is to reduce water usage. And by reducing water usage, in many ways, you're going to reduce energy usage in many of the applications that are tied directly to the water heater. And so it's a 2-for-1 if you really think about it. And there's an extra way to win. So we've got all these different applications in a home, and I was going to do a little challenge, but we're running short on time. So I'm just going to tell you, toilets are the #1 water users completely. And if you think about it, it's just a simple flush. You don't even think about it, but it just uses so much water. So imagine if we could cut our water usage down to like 0.8 gallons per flush, 0.5 gallons per flush. That's what I have, right? The average is 1.6. Low flow is called 1.28. But imagine if we could go even lower and do less strain on the city municipal water system. And so that doesn't save you any energy, but it sure saves a lot of water. And water bills are only going up so fast. Exponentially, they're going up in cities. So let's save water, just save you some money. Next up is shower heads. You want to get those down to 1.25 gallons per minute to be aggressive. I have one. Can't even tell the difference. As long as your water pressure is good, feels great. Bathroom aerators, you want to get those down to 0.5 gallons per minute. Again, that'll save water. Both of these will save water on the hot energy and water. And then next up is your clothes washer for how much water is being used. So switch again to Energy Star front load. Leaks, when your assessor's out doing your evaluation, make sure they assess your house for water leakage. An easy way to do that is just to turn off your water outside, and then don't use any, turn off your water at the spigot where it's coming into the house from the municipality. And then don't use any water for about a half an hour, an hour, and see if it moves. And if it does, you know, you might have a leak. And then lastly, dishwasher is one of the least amount of things that save water. And it's questionable. People might be able to actually hand wash with their hands and save more energy if they're very hyper efficient. But that's, you know, a very debatable thing. And again, this won't save any energy, but if we can transform all of our yard into drought tolerant native adaptive grasses, they make grasses that look just like your average lawn. And I've seen it with my own eyes in Illinois. It's called Black Beauty grass, I believe. And this grass only needs to be mowed maybe once or twice a summer and barely uses any water once it's established. So you can have your grass as well. Buffalo grass, Zoya grass, I think, is one. And then for your plantings, make sure you're using native adaptive plantings that are drought tolerant, and get rid of the irrigation. That's another way you can cut your water use and help win the competition. So I'm going to skip the questions for water because we got a lot to cover here in a very short time, and get into the next session here, which I'm going to pull up on another screen, but any guesses on what that might be? Air sealing. Yep. So you got it right. It was air sealing. So that's going to be next. And this really goes hand in hand with insulation. They can be a little hard to separate, but sometimes you need to do one without the other. We have all these areas in our home from top to bottom where air is going to enter in, and it's going to waste tons of energy and, most importantly, make you feel very uncomfortable. Some of the areas that you'll probably be able to access that are more affordable is what we call the Rheem band joist, where the basement comes together with the top floor, and you'll be able to go down in your basement and see it. And then the attic is usually going to be much more accessible. The walls are going to be very difficult to get to unless you're planning a more deeper renovation and retrofit. So again, you can go out and get the caulk gun and go around and caulk around air leaking. When your auditor comes and does blower door testing, they should hopefully flag for you where this leakage is happening. And then you can hire someone like Eco Intelligence to come through and do that air sealing for you. If you really want to go to a higher level, here's an Ann Arbor net zero home where they're actually going in and doing a sealant in the house that goes through and air seals the entire house. And while they're doing it, they're using a blower door test to see how efficient their air sealing is done. And so this is a new construction home. They set up this sealant and it's blowing air seal all over the place. But you can do this to existing homes. You're just going to need to get your furniture moved out of each room and then tape everything down. But if you really want to be aggressive on air sealing, you know, this is the way to do it. We don't see too many people do it on existing homes because it's very messy. But again, if you want to be aggressive and you want to win, you know, you might want to do this. And so we have a whole webinar on this two-part series called Sealing the Deal, Innovations in Air Sealing. And you can check that out, you know, over on our YouTube channel. Any questions or thoughts there on air sealing in general? Typically, like I said, it goes hand in hand with insulation. So we're going to talk about it here later when we get to insulation. And I appreciate you saying that. So if you've got canned lights up in your attic and they're penetrating into the attic, that is a huge leaky spot. So the first thing is never install can lights. That's number one. If they are there, get rid of them. That's number two. If you like them and you're not going to get rid of them, they can be sealed. I believe Amanda's team can help out with that too. There are ways to seal them or do them properly if you like them up there. That is a huge area for leak and water leaks and all that other stuff. So I'm glad you brought that up, and thanks. That's one I forgot to mention. All right. So what's next on our list here after air sealing? Yep, exactly. So insulation, and again, this goes hand in hand with air sealing, but typically is a lot more expensive and a little more labor. And again, same deal with air sealing. You have all these sections around your house that you can insulate. Right now, you can go down into your basement, look down, and you can see your Rheem band joist and see where the basement touches the floor, if it's insulated or not, and get a sense if you need help. You might have kind of a unique situation here with your attic, which can make this insulation more challenging. But you can poke your head up into your attic and get a measuring stick out and see, number one, what kind of insulation's up there, and then how tight it is. And so what you're looking for is either fiberglass, kind of the pink fluffy stuff, or the gray fluffy stuff, which is cellulose, or you're going to be looking at spray foam. And these are a good, better, best from our value only. So what I mean by that is, on the left, fiberglass, this is the least effective insulation, especially when it's a bat form like this. Very ineffective, very leaky. You probably have it in your walls. Cellulose is your second best, right? From a resistance to heat loss, does a pretty good job. And it also, typically, if it's blown in like this very nicely, it air seals a little bit better. Foam, on the other hand, is going to be your best air sealant, your most effective resistance to heat loss, and it has potential opportunities to block moisture, though it has also potential opportunities to cause moisture damage. So it can go either way. One thing we do get concerned about, and is, if you remember, you can win this competition by having better indoor air quality in your home, is we do get really concerned about off-gassing from foam. Foam, at the end of the day, is a petrochemical made out of oil, and it can off gas, and there are some studies to show, especially if it's installed poorly, that it could cause potential negative air quality. And could that cause health issues? We just don't know. And so from a health standpoint, actually blown in fiberglass is your healthiest insulation, especially if it's certified. And so if you're considering, we want to do this session because we want you to consider both health and energy efficiency when you're doing your project, and make sure you're just thinking through all the applications. If you have an existing home, there's something called a drill and fill method. So you can, if the walls are empty, you can blow in cellulose. Some people pour in place foam into the walls. Again, this can cause potential durability issues if the home has a poor water leakage management at the top, and this can cause other problems. So just be careful that you've taken care of the water issues around your house, so that they don't go in and rot the blown in cellulose if you decide to take this method. A very energy efficient strategy would be to remove the exterior siding and put on something like a rigid foam or a rigid rock wool that wraps around the house. And this can be both an air barrier to some extent if done right, and it can keep a lot of the heat in. Plus, the studs in your house that hold your house up waste a lot of energy. And so this will help block that energy that's being wasted within the studs. Very expensive to do, but again, if you want to be a winner, this is a great opportunity to win and save energy and make your home, more durable in the long run. So before we move on to the next section, are there any questions on this one? All right, so I guess the next one is just being given away because I forgot to put the question in there. But heating, cooling, ventilation. So this is one you might say, Brett, my air conditioning is failing, my heating system is failing. If that's the case, then this is going to be at the bottom of your list. You still want to get the energy audit done before you replace your heating system. Definitely don't want to do the wrong one. But this may be your top priority. And quite frankly, if we can take our systems all electric, we can actually save a lot of energy right out of the gate, right away, just by switching to electricity and using heat pump systems, which we'll talk briefly about. So in fairness to you, you should do all these other things first, but they can be overwhelming and they can be costly with prices going up. And you might have a failing HVAC system where that is your priority. And I get that. And so there is that to consider. So the first thing here is, on the left side, you've kind of got an old furnace. It's probably naturally drafting, probably connected to an old chimney. Like I said, you want to get rid of that old chimney. It could be a risk for carbon monoxide. It needs to get tested. On the right here, you can see a high efficiency sealed combustion furnace. It's got those PVC pipes. It's venting it out outside. It's probably, hopefully 96, 98% efficient. It's nice and tight and sealed. And hopefully it's two-stage or modulating furnace. So that way it only uses the energy it needs. So when, people tell me, oh, I got a new furnace, it runs all the time, it's so it's very inefficient. No, if your furnace turns on, fires up, turns off, cycles over and over, right? You hear that in the winter, real loud, and then it's off, and then that's bad, very inefficient. You don't want that. You want it running 100% all the time, constantly, as much as you can. That means it's properly sized and right sized. Here's some terms to look at that you might hear me say. SEER, which is an AC or a heat pump rating. HSPF is a heat pump rating. COP is a heat pump rating, usually used for geothermal. And then AFUE is a gas system rating. So again, for air conditioning, you want your air conditioning to have the highest SEER rating it possibly can. And you want it to be right sized, because that also helps draw humidity outside of your house, which can cause all sorts of health issues and mold issues and all of that. Now, if you have a gas furnace that you really like and you don't want to switch to a heat pump, electric heat pump, that's fine. There are new products that exist and new products coming out, like from our friends at Mitsubishi, where you can use a heat pump just like an outdoor air conditioning system, like on the one on the right side here, and you can plug it into your existing gas furnace. And then what it does is it acts as an air conditioning in the summer. And then in the wintertime, it actually pulls heat out of the air until the air gets too cold, and then your gas system fires up from there. And so we have a whole webinar on these ideas that we did. You can check out on our website called Heat Pumps and Gas Cold Climate Hybrid Systems Are Here. And if you want to go all heat pump systems, that's the best way to go. And you want to make sure it's a cold weather climate certified heat pump system, which we can get you some more information on. Now, the most energy efficient system you'll ever find is ground source heat pumps. And that's where it's a geothermal system and they drill wells. Now, there are a lot of challenges, especially in Ann Arbor, we've heard, where you're not allowed to drill wells next to certain lot lines. And so there can be difficulty just being allowed to drill these wells. But if you can do it, that's going to be the most energy efficient system you have. And one thing we're all jealous of you over here is that DTE actually has a special geothermal rate just for you to charge you less for electricity for your geothermal usage as well. So you kind of get a little bit of a head start by using geothermal and going through that special rate. I'm going to skip a couple things here to get into the air quality section before we wrap up. One of the ways that you can win this competition is to improve the air quality of your home, and that is closely tied to your HVAC systems. So what you're going to do is you're going to get a device, an air quality sensing device, and we're going to have more information about this, maybe even a sponsor who gives them out. And you're going to put this device in your house for at least 2 weeks. If you want to own one, we recommend you just own one. And it's kind of like, think of it like a smoke detector or a carbon monoxide detector, but instead it's constantly monitoring air quality. And usually the air quality is not bad enough to tell you to evacuate like a smoke or carbon monoxide detector is, but it's constantly monitoring air quality in your home and telling you over time what kind of pollution you're being exposed to, and then maybe thinking, what should I do to remove it? And so these air quality sensors are measuring things like radon, which is a problem in Ann Arbor. You're in a high radon zone. That's lung cancer. VOCs, volatile organic compounds, CO2, which, believe it or not, CO2 is a problem, especially if you work from home. If it's really high, you're tired, you're groggy, you're not getting work done. And also, the flip side is you don't sleep really well when CO2 is high. It's measuring humidity. It's measuring temperature and pressure, and PM 2.5, which comes from gas stoves and can cause asthma, allergies, and it comes from wildfire smoke. So every time there's more fires out in California, that's getting sucked into your house. What's going on in there? So it's measuring all this stuff. And so if you can take a 2-week measurement anytime during the competition at the beginning, then make an improvement in your house, and then take the measurement 2 weeks later at the end of the competition. And if you can improve each of these metrics, we're going to have a special prize for the winner who makes the most air quality improvements within their home. Now, what can be done to do air quality improvement? Well, first, I want you to all go and do the toilet paper test on your bath fan. Hold up a piece of toilet paper and put it on your bath fan. Does it hold the piece of toilet paper? Well, that's telling you then your bath fan probably is functioning pretty good, right? And so that's a good sign that you've got good air movement. So then you can just flip your bath fan on and leave it running all the time. It's going to get good airflow in your house as just a quick, cheap way until you can do further things. The next thing you want to do is get a good Merv filter, at least Merv 8, but you can update to Merv 13 if you want to filter out some of that PM 2.5. It even starts filtering out potential viruses, airborne viruses and all that. But you got to be careful when you upgrade your Merv filter, because a too thick Merv filter can damage older HVAC systems. So you want to work with your HVAC contractor. Again, you want to do gas leak inspections in your house. We find gas leaks all over homes we inspect, even on brand new HVAC systems. They're leaking all over. And then also the gas stoves, they're leaking all sorts of nasty stuff that you don't even see, causing all sorts of problems. Here's one of the our people that we work with. You can see here when they turn their gas stove on the left there, their PM 2.5 fires up. Again, remember that's asthma, childhood asthma, all sorts of other cardiovascular diseases. And then here it also fires up CO2, real nasty stuff coming out of there. And their gas stove's in good working order. So again, you want to switch to electric and induction to have a healthier home. And then next, you want to make sure your home has a hood range, and the hood range is venting outside. Very important to make sure you've got good air quality within your house. And so some other strategies to make your house more healthy is putting in an energy recovery ventilator, and that's making sure fresh air is coming in, dirty air is going out, and it's doing it in an energy efficient way where it captures some of that waste heat, especially in the dead of winter or in the heat of summer. It's not bringing in all that extra heat or cold air. And so that's something you might want to do if you make your house super tight. You hire Amanda to come out and make your house really tight. Then you want to put in this energy recovery ventilator, and then you're going to get it tested just to make sure. You're going to test your ventilation systems. You're going to test them to make sure that they're actually working properly and that they work. And then lastly, we're looking at smart ventilation systems, which can actually not only detect that air quality that's bad, but then turn your ventilation systems on when they detect a pollution event in your house, and they're a little bit smarter. And so that's really the highest level of air quality. I got to get going and wrap this session up. So I just want to let you know, for windows are a very expensive way to save very little energy. And so we just don't see people, replacing windows just to save energy. Well, we see people attempt to replace windows just to save energy, but unfortunately, they're a very, very expensive way to do it. It's one of the last things you want to do. The only reason you want to replace windows is if there's a problem with the window aesthetically. Then that's a good reason to replace it. And yeah, we encourage you to replace windows. It will save energy, but it will be a very expensive way to do it. So what we instead encourage you to do is repair windows, reseal, reputty, rebuild, add storm windows on the outside if you want to, or something brand new is you can build to order do-it-yourself installation storm windows from our friends over at Indo Window. And you can you can measure your own windows and then pop them right in on the inside. And that's going to increase the performance of the house and potentially a 10% reduction in air leakage on a house by house basis just by doing these types of windows. And we have a whole webinar on our website too about doing that. And how and what those products are. If you are getting new windows, make sure to look at the lowest U factor you can think of and consider the solar heat gain coefficients. The higher the heat gain, the lower the heat that comes in. So if it's being exposed to the sun in the summertime, you want to have a higher heat gain coefficient so as not to overheat your home. And then lastly, on the top of our pyramid is solar. Solar is really sexy, but it's super expensive. And there's a solarized Ann Arbor program that we encourage you to sign up for. Solar, we encourage you all to put solar on your house and do it, but it's very expensive to do. And in some regards, prices went up because of a lot of other political drama. So make sure you do all these other items first, and then put the solar on, and you'll need less solar, right? It'll be less solar that you need to buy. Plus, if you think about it, solar doesn't make you more comfortable. It doesn't make you healthier. It makes you cool, right? You're trendy now, you're hip, everyone can see it, right? They can't see all this other stuff, but that's why we want to hand you $500 for doing the things that people can't see. And we're going to put your name in the paper if you win too. So you're going to get some exposure. You don't need to pay the thousands, tens of thousands of dollars for solar. But again, we want you to put the solar on, but do those other things first. Get that energy audit. We're going to schedule it for you. And we're going to come out and give you your best pathway to win. And then, from there, you can figure out, what makes sense. So I have to get wrapping up here now, but I want to thank our sponsors, Urban Rider, Cargo Bikes, Common Cycle, and Eco Intelligence Homes, and the city of Ann Arbor. Wow, that one came out really blurry. Race to Zero. Again, if you haven't signed up for the Race to Zero program yet, make sure you go in and sign up for it. Then you can schedule your free energy audit. And then there's still some discounts on some insulation packages from Eco Intelligence. You can have Amanda out, get your home fixed up for that. And you can still hire them to do some work even after that to help assess the rest of your house for insulation. And then, we're here as an educational resource. We'll be doing more training and more topics as time goes on. We'll be at the Home Electrification Conference or Expo July 15th at the Ann Arbor's Farmers Market. So make sure you have that on your schedule. You can come out and talk to me in person there, catch up, talk a little bit more about what you can do to win. But we're super thankful for your time joining us today. And we want to say good luck in winning the competition. And, we're here as a resource to help you make more informed decisions to make your homes better. So thank you again, everyone. Take care. Stay safe out there. Have a great 4th of July and be well. Thank you.
Be sure to check out all of our courses available online that you can watch anytime and anywhere to pick up your CEUs. Before you go, make sure to subscribe to us on YouTube to get weekly updates and stay up to date on green building science courses, webinars, and home tours. Thanks again.